Good evening, everyone, and welcome to 7 with Kevin Live. I'm Kevin Maynard, and I'm the Executive Director of Quad City Arts, where our mission is to enrich the quality of life in the Quad City region through the arts. Now, to do this, we work with hundreds of artists throughout the year who work in a number of mediums and genres. And our community is impacted by these artists through their performances, public art installations, gallery exhibitions, and more. Our team also has the added benefit of getting to work closer with these artists, which gives us a wonderful opportunity to learn more about them and their art. And we want to share that with you. That is what 7 with Kevin Live is all about. So why 7 with Kevin? We named this after a series after a monthly newsletter that I write. In that newsletter, I share 7 things. It ranges from things that I'm excited about, things that we're working on, things that I'm interested in, and so on. So we created a list of 7 questions that fit that criteria. Basically, it's a little random, a little fun, and hopefully a little thought-provoking. Now, if you have never read that newsletter, you can sign up for it at our website, quadcityarts.com. Now, if you're tuning in live and you have a question, go ahead and put that in the comment section. If you're tuning in live and don't have a question, still comment. Let us know where you're watching from, or who you're watching with, or maybe how you found out about tonight's episode. Now, tonight, we'll be talking with about one of our programs, Arts Dollars. And I'm really excited to talk with Gaye Shannon-Burnett and Jonathan Burnett of Azubuike African American Council for the Arts. But first, I'd like to bring on my colleague, Kaleigh Trammell. Kaleigh, welcome to 7 with Kevin Live.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. Well, Kaleigh, we're going to have a quick conversation, but I'm going to invite you back on after our conversation with Gaye and Jonathan. But before that, I kind of wanted to frame up that conversation. Can you tell us what Arts Dollars is?
Sure. Arts Dollars is a re-granting program that provides funding to artists and nonprofits to support arts-centered projects in and around the Quad Cities.
Excellent. So when you say re-granting, what exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah, that basically means that we're kind of the middleman. So we apply for funding from state agencies and large foundations who are relying on us to know what our community needs. And we make the connection between them and artists and nonprofits who either don't have time to apply for these grants that are often long and complicated, or feel that maybe they don't qualify for that type of funding. And so we're able to connect them, and we have a really straightforward application, and we can fund projects that we know are going to make an impact because we live here and work here. So it's awesome.
Excellent. Perfect explanation. So in 2020, how many projects did the Quad City Arts Dollars program fund?
We funded 24 projects in total.
Excellent. And that was roughly how many dollars?
About $85,000. And we fund projects in 3 categories: in education, capacity building for nonprofits, and in arts projects for nonprofits and artists in the area. So it's really exciting and a very cool program.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, Kaleigh, I told you it was going to be a very quick conversation about Arts Dollars, and that's it. But don't worry, I'll be inviting you back here shortly.
Good. I can't wait.
So, excellent. Thank you, Kaleigh. Tonight's guests are Gaye Shannon-Burnett and Jonathan Burnett from Azubuike African American Council for the Arts, where their mission is to reconcile the racial divide that exists in our community through the arts. We will talk about their program that was funded through Arts Dollars, as well as a number of their other programs. But first, we'd like to play a short video about their Urban Exposure program.
When you think about filmmaking, yes, it is very much an art form. It is a way of expression. It is a way of creativity. It's a vessel for truth. I want them to be able to tell their own stories and not have stories told for them. I want them to use that creative energy to go out into the world and just say, like, hey, this is my voice. This is what I want to say.
Excellent. Gaye and Jonathan, welcome to 7 with Kevin Live.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
So let's start with some basics. I'd like to know a little bit about yourself, including your role with Azubuike. Gaye, let's start with you.
Okay. Well, I am one of the co-founders of the organization. We started it about 6 years ago, primarily because we were doing a lot of work in the community, and we felt we'd have a better capacity if we were a not-for-profit and could apply for these wonderful grants. And as an individual artist, I had gotten grants from time to time from Quad City Arts, so I did know about them. And I knew that this was a good organization to, to try to go through. And I don't know, we just kind of grew. Jonathan had a background in film. I did art with children, and just whatever we did normally or naturally, we incorporated it into Azubuike. And then we invited other people, other artists to, to be part of it.
Excellent. Jonathan.
My role.
Oh, yeah.
I consider myself the it woman. If there's anything to be done, I'm it. So currently, I'm technically the board president, but I do manage a lot of the day-to-day operations because I'm physically here.
Excellent. And Jonathan, same questions to you.
Yeah, so I'm the executive director of Azubuike, and I'm also the creator and one of the lead instructors of Urban Exposure, our 10-week program that we run in the summer.
Excellent. And I'd like to start with the question, where did the name come from? What's the meaning behind it?
Well, do you want to go ahead?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, the word is actually an Igbo word, which is a ethnic tribe within the eastern region of Nigeria. And the word means the past is our strength. So with Azubuike, we look back to our ancestors, to our heritage, to basically bring about a new wave of art, a new wave of touching the community by learning from our past. And then also, since we are an organization that is trying to bridge racial divides, we have to know our past so we don't repeat it in the future. So that's where the word came from.
Wow. I'm just thinking like what a great word. It almost just, it feeds right into your mission. I mean, it says everything about your organization. That's wow. I'm glad to know. So film plays a key role in the programming at Azubuike. Where did your love of film start?
I always tell this story. I have a background in film. My father is a filmmaker. My aunt is also a filmmaker, and my mother has done many things within the film industry, from acting to costume design to even setting up lights and doing that all while like raising my brother and I. And but my love for film actually started in high school, and I had to find that love for film myself. And I had a teacher that taught she still teaches at Rock Island High School. Her name is Mrs. Greenwood. I'm not much of a reader. Like, I read to study, but I don't read for enjoyment. I'm getting better at it. But whenever I would do read whatever stories or books that we had to read, whatever novels we had to read, I would dread doing the book report. But Mrs. Greenwood said, she knew I was into film and getting into film. She said, well, if you want to make a short film, then all you have to do is just write a script and then just show it when they read our book report. So it's like, I got a group of friends together on the first film that I did. The first short film that I did was it was either The Great Gatsby or The Scarlet Letter. I think it was The Scarlet Letter, and we made a short film about it. And then ever since then, every time we read a book or had to do a book report, I would just make short films. And I think that's where my love grew for filmmaking.
Wow. And Gaye, where did you get your start in film?
Well, I just kind of because of an acting background, and I'm a theatrical arts and dance major from a long time ago. And I mean, all actors like to act. So I acted in my sister's films. I've acted in friends' films and things like that. And when you make independent films, and Jonathan knows, and we do it with our films in the Urban Exposure program, you are not just an actress. It's not like a $5 or $60 million set where the actors go back to their wagons and wait until their next scene. No, you're asked to hold gels. You have to, can you come over here and do this? So-and-so's makeup isn't right. Can you check her? I mean, it's just whatever it takes to get the job done. And, that is the type of environment that I was in when I was in school. And I didn't go into film the same way Jonathan and my sister did, but I have a very good understanding of film. I like to write, so I write things, and hopefully one day something will be made. So my love of film is also from watching films, and I have made some little short films that I did with Sankofa Performing Arts Ensemble at Rock Island High School years ago, because the kids wanted to make films. And so we go out, grab our video cameras and make films, and I would edit them. And that's pretty much my love of film and my understanding of it.
Well, perfect. That sort of leads in. So what aspects or what about, film in the program made you want to start Urban Exposure?
Well, I think just teaching and the love of teaching, and then also giving back was what really kind of made me start Urban Exposure. Another experience, I was like, when I came back from a film that I was working on with my father in Algiers, Algeria, and it was a French Algerian co-production, and I had been there for 8 months. And when I came back to the Quad Cities, I was teaching within the Rock Island School District for about a year, substitute teaching, all different grade levels. So I got a taste of third grade, fourth grade, sixth grade. And then I also was a substitute at Rock Island High School, which was very surreal. When I was talking to the students, some of the students about what they wanted to do, past high school and past college, and then just kind of what careers that they want to take. A number of them didn't know, that's normal, but a number of them, which was really, really unsettling, was that they didn't think they could do anything past high school. And I told them, well, what about going to school? And some of them even laughed at me by saying, well, yeah, we're not going to college. And that was kind of, that hurt me. And I told them, well, what about film? And I told them about the different positions in the film, and the fact that although the film is an art form, it is very much an industry. And you do not have to always be in front of the camera in order to create great pieces of work. And you can do many things on a film set. And the concept just wasn't I don't think it was clicking with them that you could do something outside of, being a doctor or a lawyer, working at a factory, working normal 9-to-5 job, which are all very great and much needed. But there are also other industries to have a fulfilling career. And that's why I made Urban Exposure, because I want them to know that this is an opportunity, especially when an industry comes closer to the Quad Cities, that this is an opportunity for them to take advantage of it and to elevate themselves economically, and also have a voice to tell their own stories. So to me, it's kind of a win-win thing.
Yeah. And I'll also, I would also add that one of the things that not a lot of people think about with the arts and film is that there's a lot of that will translate to other industries. There's a lot of the things that are learning in film and technology that those students can use, for sure. Oh
yeah, for sure. I mean, when we look at how filmmaking or even like, you know, videography skills. It can be transferred to, you can shoot weddings, you can work for commercials, everybody needs content. And especially now that we're in this pandemic and this quarantine, people are watching things at an alarming rate. Like you can't, like every time Netflix comes out with something, it just like, you know, people just binge right through it. So content is very much king at the moment.
Yeah.
And also, as far as our art programs are concerned too, we try to, you know, instill in the kids that art is also an industry, as you very well know. And all artists, you know, painting is wonderful, but that's not the only form of art. And I tell them about it. I said, art is almost everywhere. If you look at an illustrated book cover, that's art. If you look at cartoons and, you know, graphic designs, you can work for, you know, advertisement agency. You can do layouts. I mean, art is just everywhere. T-shirts, all the pictures and everything. So it is an industry. And if you have artistic abilities, this is something that you can use to actually make a living for yourself. And, you know, I know a lot of kids understand about acting and singing and dancing, which really took off, you know, in an unbelievable way. A lot of dancers never thought they could make a living just dancing, and unless you were with like a ballet company or something like that. But these are things that they have talents, and those talents can translate into economics. And we look at, especially the film program that we have, not just as art, but also as a way for economic development too. And, you know, kids being able to find jobs, and hopefully more of those jobs will come to the Quad Cities. And we want our students to be ready, but also we want certain communities, because when you look at the Black and brown communities, and I know we focus more in the Black community, everything we do is open to anyone to participate. But a lot of times those communities are very much underserved, and the opportunities that are, you know, available to a lot of young people in those communities just aren't the same. And they need to know that there's things that they can learn that are interesting and that they really could master, that could help them. Even if they didn't stay here, they could go somewhere, because we have a very intense program. I mean, Jonathan set that up. It's, you know, it's 10 weeks. You know, they come in for 3 times a week, and usually it's, you know, 3 hours a session. So it's really intense, and they get to learn a lot. And when they finish the program, they walk away with their own film, which is really good for students that are going to film school. So
yeah. Well, and I think that, you know, this probably touches on the name, is that part of that is just, you know, giving those kids access and exposure to that industry to learn of all the different options in that. So part of that is, you know, I'd like to discuss particularly the program that was funded or partially funded through Arts Dollars, the Acting for Film. Can you tell us what that program is like in a traditional year, and then obviously what changes were made for the unique year that we're having?
Okay. Well, the Acting for Film program was, when we first thought of it and implemented it, because we would get young people and they were asking their family members, I mean, people that were not traditionally actors, and we said we could probably help this along a little better if we had some type of workshop or training. And that's how it started. And it's open to everyone. It's just a workshop. It's not as intense as, you know, it's a component. And what happens, it's open to anyone that wants to come. There's no real age limit. We want you to at least, you know, be able to read. I mean, because sometimes people are looking for things for much younger children. We say, maybe not. But if they are, you know, if they're at that age where they can read, because some of the films do have like a sibling in it that they want a younger child to play a little brother or something like that. And that's how we started it, just to really build our capacity for acting. After they finish the program, they come and they can audition. We can't guarantee that they're picked because the scripts dictate, you know, who, I mean, like if you don't have anything for little kids or for, you know, a grandmother or anything, there's no roles, but they can still audition. They can go through that process. Last year, even with the flood, and we always want to give great thanks to the downtown Davenport Library, because they let us use meeting rooms and different things to keep our program going. So, and for the whole summer, that was really wonderful of them. We had the auditions, and we did the program there, and we were able to actually, you know, find actors for the films. We still always have to, you know, recruit people for this program. But well, that was actually, you know, we had the program, the acting program at Rock Island High School. I'm sorry, and we used the Little Theater, and John Cameron came up from Iowa City because he's a professor down there at Iowa City, and he taught the workshop. And he is slated to teach it again. We are doing it via Zoom, and because it was so unique this year, we figured we could do it, at a different time. Normally we do it before, the films are shot, but this time it was really hard to audition people. And there's no place to go because of the way that they decided to shoot the film, through Zoom. But we figured anyone could log on. They can take the acting class. We're going to have like maybe 3 different series because we have other people like Teresa Moore is going to be one of the instructors. So that's pretty much the acting for film in a nutshell. I mean, the only thing we have to do it online. They'll still have, acting techniques, acting skills. I'm not the teacher for that, but they'll have monologues and scripts, and it will be interesting for them to do any type of scenes with other people via Zoom when you're not in the same room, Yeah. We're going to see how this all works, but I think it'll be interesting, and it will be fun, and we'll be able to take it, and we'll let you know how it goes.
I was going to say, I'd love to know how that goes, and, maybe what the key takeaways are. Maybe there's a good way to merge these things in the future. So obviously, Jonathan, we've talked about the Urban Exposure Program, and you're still finishing up this year's program. How has that changed? And what is the, what are the things that you're learning from that?
I think I'm learning a few things from it. So I think so how it's changed is obviously like, I'm used to being in front of the students, like talking with them, sitting with them. We do a lot of like hands-on training. Like as you can see in this image right here, this is one of the PSAs that we shot for the Sisters of Humility of Mary. And this is one of our Urban Exposure alum, Cooper Harrison, who's at the University of Iowa right now. And we like to do things like this. We like to teach while doing, basically. And this year it was a bit difficult because, we had to flatten the curve. I'm actually still in Los Angeles at the moment because I'm also an independent filmmaker working in LA. So I wasn't able to come back to the QC this summer. But that's what we do in person. But how it's changed, I think there were things that made it easy, and then there were things that made it difficult. So the easy things, you just log on your laptop, your phone, your iPad, and then boom, you're right there. And then also I was recording all the classes. So if somebody missed a class because they had work or for other reasons, I just put it up on YouTube, on our YouTube channel as unlisted. They would, I would send them the link and then they could watch it. So the education part and the lecture part was simple. However, I think the more technical aspects of cinematography, editing, like we do not have the capability of sending our students laptops with software on them yet. That's just one of the many things. That's what we want to do at some point. but we just weren't able to do that, or we weren't able to send them their own, like, not too expensive, but their own personal cameras to test things, to test techniques. But they all had camera phones, fortunately, so they all tested their techniques and did different compositions and camera movements on their camera phones. So, and then I think the two other interesting things that we saw was that we were able to expand this year. And then how do you expand? You're sitting at home. Well, the technology allowed us to have we had an actor from LA play a role in one of our films. We had students from Ames, Iowa, and Miami, Florida join, because we said, you know what, let's just see how it goes. Let's expose our young people from the Quad Cities to other people in different areas, and then just see how they interact. And then also, I think a lot of productions in the industry are kind of finding that shooting through Zoom and live streams like this is going to be kind of a thing for a bit until we get this all figured out. So this gave us an opportunity to shoot films through Zoom. And now we're going to edit films through Zoom. And now it's like, it beefs up our writing, but it also prepares us for, what if we have to be shut down again? Or how long when do we come back? Well, we can shoot another film through Zoom, and now we know how to do it. So I think that's kind of how it changed for us. So there were some ups, and there were some downs, but it all contributed to our growth as an organization and also as artists.
Nice. Well, and I think it also helps point out to young adults that there is an adaptability, that you need to be able to adapt and figure out how to make things happen when it seems like it's impossible to make happen. So
for sure,
that's great.
And we're also going to make our premiere happen. We're doing that online too, because there are a lot of film festivals. Jonathan had a couple of his films get into festivals, and those are all online. And so everybody has had to pivot and figure out how to keep going. And everything didn't have to shut down. Certain things did, but these are the things that just needed to change their format. And we're doing that. So, and we're still collaborating with the FICCI, and we are going to do it through their system and everything, because they have something that we don't have. So,
so speaking of that, when is the premiere, and how can people be involved and see it?
Well, the premiere is going to be October 15th, and it's going to be a live stream, much like this, through the FICCI. We're still working the details of like the links and the exact time, but the premiere date is October 15th, and I think we're going to try to do it a little bit different this year, because we love when that's another thing that's changed. Whenever we have the premiere, we do red carpet, like people get to talk to me and talk to the young filmmakers, and then they pile into the John Deere Auditorium and they watch the films, and then we have a Q&A. But what we're going to do is much like what we're doing right now. We're going to have myself, the instructors, an MC to kind of handle whatever questions come in, and the students. And we're going to show the films, open it up to the live stream, and then whoever comes up with questions on the live stream, we just answer and have a good time.
Wonderful. Well, we will be sure to help let people know when that happens as well. I think that sounds great. One of the things you mentioned that numerous ups and downs, and one of the downs that Jonathan, in a different meeting and presentation, I heard you talk about a technology gap. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Well, I think the pandemic has showed us that there is a clear technology gap within our community and other communities, but most likely in the Black and Brown communities, and other lower socioeconomic communities. So when we talk about education, online education from home, I am for it. It is the safest option, and it was a thing that we called homeschool back in the day. So it's nothing new. However, I think that a lot of the students, a lot of the kids have, smartphones, in high school, especially. I mean, they start younger, but for sure in high school, almost everybody has a smartphone or some type of tablet or something, but they use the Wi-Fi at school, at a library, at a public space where there is free Wi-Fi. But sometimes when they're going back home, they might not have free Wi-Fi. And, if they have to use data, they need those minutes because not everybody has unlimited text and call, and then sometimes I just heard a friend today that also teaches, and he said some of his students, they have the camera off because, it throttles with the data. So sometimes they can't spend that type of money, and that is like clearly showing that how great our technology gap is. If that answers your question. Yeah,
that's exactly it. I mostly I wanted to ask because I don't think a lot of people realize that or see that. And with the program that you just ran, I mean, obviously, I'm sure that there were times that was highlighted. I mean, this is kind of a big question, and I don't have an answer to it. But is there something that people can do to help reduce that?
I mean, it's kind of, I mean, yes, it's a big question, but I think the question has to go to the cities. In order to bridge this gap, let's say Wi-Fi. I know in some bigger cities across the United States, and then also some European cities, they have free citywide Wi-Fi. And some spots are hotter than others as far as reception and stuff, but Wi-Fi is easily available, and it's a free, it's basically a free service. The tax, you pay the taxes, then this is one of the perks for paying the taxes for the most part. I mean, I hope that at some point, whether it's Rock Island, Moline, something like that, or the whole Quad Cities, where they have free Wi-Fi throughout the city. And that would make it a lot easier for people to, apply for jobs. That's another thing that people do a lot on their smartphones. A lot of younger people that apply for jobs don't even apply for jobs on their computers anymore. They do it from their phones because it's all through apps. Apply for jobs, if they need to make an important call. Sometimes if your data runs out, you need Wi-Fi to make a phone call. That's what it's there for. And actually, a few of my students, when they run out of minutes, they're at the mercy of Wi-Fi, and that's unfortunate because when I first started this program, and this was my own ignorance, I expected everyone to know how to use a computer, but I had some students that didn't know their way around a mouse or a keyboard. And then that was a skill that I had to teach them before we got into editing, because all the students edit their own films, except for this year because we had to pivot a little bit. But those are some of the things that I picked up along the way. And I saw this 6 years ago when I started doing urban exposure, that there was a technology gap, a for sure technology gap within underserved communities, and that gap needs to be bridged.
And there's also, we're always surprised each year, and probably not this year because we won't be doing anything live, how many of the students and their families and their friends and the ones that acted in their films had never been to the Figgy.
Yeah.
And I mean, really had never been to the Figgy. And I'm thinking, how can you live in Davenport, Moline, or Rock Island and have never been to the Figgy? They probably haven't been to Quad City Arts either. And the only reason they were in Bucktown and in Azubuike was because of our film program. So this is another thing. How do we also start? I just thought schools were bringing them. So apparently that's not true either. It must be like some teachers can decide, to take a field trip to the Figgy. But how do we let students and let kids know from, underserved communities that they have access, that they can go to the Figgy, that they belong. I know the Figgy has Thursday is free all day, and then in the summer they have some Saturdays that are free for family days. And I know that Melissa Moore would always say, if you have students that want to come here, I can arrange a tour for them. Bring them on the free day. If you can't, we can arrange for, these kids to have, free passage. They do a lot to accommodate students that don't normally have these experiences. But for a lot of times, I think a lot of it is that, kids don't feel like they can go there because they don't, they're intimidated by that whole process. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. Definitely. Gaye, you mentioned you mentioned Bucktown, and that was the former home of Azubuike. Obviously, with Mid-Coast Fine Arts closing down, Bucktown went away as well. But on a very happy note, we know that you have found a new space. So can you tell us about that new space, and let's talk about the highlights there.
The highlights, yes. And it was really hard on me when Bucktown closed because I was there pre-opening the not-for-profit. I had been there 10 years because I was there as an artist first. And then when we opened the not-for-profit, we were there for 6 more years. So that was really like, a tug on my heart, but we had to make that move. And didn't know where we were going to go at first. And the new landlords, because of the pandemic and everything, they said, okay, until you find some place, you can sit here for a little while. And we actually didn't move out until July. And I know. So we went to the Lincoln School, and this is my new art space. I haven't had any kids there yet, but it's ready for whenever we can get back. The tables were there. I already had the chairs and all of the other things, and it just fit into there really nicely. We're at the old Lincoln School in Davenport, on right off of Pershing, in between 7th and 8th. And let's see, it's owned by an organization called Together Making a Better Community. And they bought the school, I think, in November last year. And I'm not sure if a lot of the people are from Third Missionary Baptist Church, so I think it's their organization. But this is our new gallery, and man, it really feels wonderful. The walls I had made, but as far as the big pedestals and things, when Mid-Coast dissolved, they asked the artists what did they want. I said, I want the pedestals. And I didn't know where I was going. I didn't even know if I would have space to put those giant pedestals in, because there's 2 of the real big ones, and I have maybe about 10 more of the different smaller sizes. But that's part of the new gallery space, and we just love that. We also, I'm not sure, I sent in the pictures of the editing room, and the film Urban Exposure has its own suite, and Jonathan has an office there. And we were just lucky because on that side of the room, there's a giant screen that lets down. It rolls up into the ceiling. You don't even see it. It has the projector already there. They said, well, it was there, so yeah, you get to use it. So we just feel blessed and very lucky. We have another space where we're going to do have a meeting room. Not room, but an area. Because when we get back to normal, we have Wrapping Ourselves in God's Love. That's an African American breast cancer support group. And so the ladies are, when can we meet over at your space? And I said, well, not right now, but soon.
Well, Gaye, it's a fantastic looking space. I am excited to finally see it. So it sounds like you're not accepting visitors yet. Do you know when you will, or are you just kind of waiting to see how things go?
We're kind of waiting to see how things go. I mean, I didn't send you the pictures of all the boxes in the middle of the floor still needing to be unpacked. And so there's a little bit of fine tuning. I think even though it's September, I didn't have, I have some help. Friends did as much as they could. But for the most part, it's me and maybe a volunteer here and there. And I don't really want a lot of people there right now, even though everyone wears a mask.
Yeah.
It's just easier to, kind of do it myself slowly. But we're not sure. We'd like to have some type of sneak preview. I don't want to call it an opening because it won't be an opening, but by invitation, small groups, and have them in mass, socially distanced, and just to see the space and to just see where we are. We'll do that maybe November, probably. I'm going to shoot for November. But
excellent.
Who knows yet?
So, kind of a big question for you guys. How can people get involved?
Well, I mean, we have our Facebook, we have our social media. Our Facebook page is, if you just type in like Azubuike African American Council for the Arts, you can see a lot of what we do. We have our website, which is under construction. We're working on a new website and platform, but the older website is still there. Basically, if you email at either azubuikegallery@gmail.com or azubuikeboard@gmail.com, or even urbanexposurefilmmaker@gmail.com, just emailing us directly saying like, hey, how can we help? We can send a link to our PayPal, where we have a lot of our donations go. We can just tell you like how you can donate. And then also, if you're interested in any of our programs, contacting us directly, we can send you all the information, and then also invite you to the premiere October 15th so you can see how the films came out this year. So yeah, that's pretty much how people can get involved. If you know people that are interested in filmmaking and acting in any part of the arts, or wants to contribute and uplift the arts, especially in underserved Black and Brown communities, reach us and let's talk. Let's try to make this happen.
Wonderful. Is there, before we move on to our lightning round of 7 with Kevin, do either of you have anything that you'd like to add?
Well, we also have, just a donate now link on the website too as well. Like I said, and we do accept, and I have to just say it because there have been random people sending us, donations in the mail. And that has just been, it's been nice, not just to get money, but because people feel that we are valued, are valuable enough that they want to support us. And, a lot of times people apologize for not being able to give us large sums and stuff, but we really appreciate everything. And like I said, we're touched because you think what we're doing is valuable enough to give us money. And we want to say thank you. And when we do get back to in-person, yes, it's always really good. I'd like to build up a volunteer staff, not staff, but, a group of people when we have different events and things like that. So they can volunteer with us. They can, give us money. They can even come to all of our events. We will definitely want people to come to events when it gets safe enough.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, this has been great. So before I let you two go, I do have my lightning round of 7 with Kevin. So I will go ahead and start with that. All right. We'll start with Jonathan on this first question. Jonathan, what are you currently watching on Netflix, TV, or other streaming devices?
Let's see here. I just saw this film called The Social Dilemma. It's a documentary on how social media is basically destroying us as a country and individuals. So that's what I just watched. Another film that I'm going to watch this weekend is a film called Residue. A buddy of mine named Marawi Jurima, he has a film that just came out. It's on Netflix, actually came out today. And it's about a young, I think it's about a young film student that comes back to DC to basically confront past demons and then also see a radical gentrification happening to his area of DC. So I'm going to watch that as well on Netflix.
And that was Residue?
Yeah, Residue. It was actually picked up by Ava DuVernay on her distribution company. So I'm going to check it out.
Excellent. Gaye, how about you? What are you watching on Netflix, TV?
Well, TV. I mean, I like cable news, but I'm a MSNBC, evening fan, and I'm trying to watch things that I missed, and I watched Napoli Ever After on Netflix, and just lighthearted, fun things. I'm embarrassed. I don't want to tell you everything. And I binge watch Netflix.
I think we all.
Little tidbit information. This isn't embarrassing because I'm actually proud of this. I got my mom into watching Korean dramas. So
I've seen almost all Korean dramas and series and stuff to the point where it's easy for me to to read the subtitles. So that's why Jonathan was teasing me. He said, "Oh, you watch Chinese soap operas," and I said, "I do not. They're Taiwanese." He said, "Same difference."
No. I know the difference between Chinese and Taiwanese.
I said, okay, but no, I love those two. I have favorite ones. Sometimes I watch things over, and the Korean ones are by far, my favorite. They have a lot more, stories and series and just things that I really like.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Ooh. I'm gonna have to say Star Wars. Star Wars, yeah.
I guess Star Wars, yes.
Perfect. Yeah. Where's the best pizza in the Quad Cities?
No, I'm not going to do that one. Everybody will be mad at us no matter what we say.
You know what? I'm going to say, okay, yeah. I mean, they're going to be mad at whatever I say, but I'm just going to say Low Pies. So,
ooh, good.
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to throw this out there, Jonathan. Better pizza in the Quad Cities or in LA?
You know what? I think I want to say the Quad Cities because, like, I don't know. I've had good pizza, but I've had good pizza in San Francisco, Chicago, and New York. But I don't know about LA. LA has a lot of great other things, but I don't know. Pizza doesn't come to mind.
Excellent. What's your favorite book?
My favorite book is called Baghdad Blues. It was written by Sam Greenlee. Sam Greenlee was also the author of the book called The Spook Who Sat by the Door. So that's actually my favorite book. That's a book that I can read from front to cover multiple times. So yeah.
Well, my all-time favorite book is always going to be I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings. I read that when I was young, and I read it periodically because I just loved it. The first time I read it, I stayed up all night so I could finish as far as that's concerned. But that's my all-time favorite book.
All right. Where is your go-to place for inspiration?
Go-to place for inspiration. I would say the open road. Sometimes when I have when I need time to think or like a little bit of writer's block or something, and say if it's like 1, 2, 3 in the morning, sometimes I just hop in the car and just drive. And sometimes that, like if I'm back in the Quad Cities, I just drive around the Quad Cities, just listening to music, just trying to let the inspiration flow. I go from Rock Island to Davenport to Bettendorf. I go all over the QC. And then here in LA, same thing. I just go to different, neighborhoods in LA, just driving. So I know it's a little like a weird, it's not an actual location because I'm constantly moving, but I would say that's my answer.
Yeah, it's always also dangerous. You're driving around at 2 in the morning with no destination.
Art is always dangerous.
All right. Well, my go-to place has always been the studio, the gallery. It's just the place where I feel most inspired. I do not go, at 2 o'clock in the morning. I wait until maybe about, 6. But that's the place where that I feel, my most inspiration.
Good. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I for a long time, like before film school, I was actually going to go into pre-law, and I obviously did not make that choice. But I would say I'd probably being a lawyer would have been another profession that I wanted to try. So yeah.
No, I don't know. I mean, I've worked a lot of jobs, so let me just see as far as that's concerned. Man, I'm just trying to think. Maybe a teacher, that might be one. I mean, but I don't teach professionally, but I teach a lot all the time. So maybe that was a natural thing I should have gone into as a profession too as well.
All right, final question. If you could have a drink with any artist, living or dead, who would it be?
I'm gonna let you take this one, Mom. I need to think about this.
I know, living or dead. Boy. Oh, I'm trying to think who drinks.
It could be lunch or dinner.
I would sit down with James Baldwin. That was my drinking buddy. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to steal that one too, for sure. James Baldwin. Yeah, I mean, it's just gonna be all three of us at the table.
In Paris too. I want to, or New York.
Excellent. Actually, I do have one kind of bonus question. The conversation tonight is kind of circled around films. So is there a film, or like what film should people be watching that's available on Netflix or other streaming services?
Well, I would say what's available on Netflix and other streaming service. Well, let's see. Can I give one that's on Netflix and then one that I don't think is on Netflix anymore?
Certainly.
So, and then both. So I would say the limited series When They See Us by Ava DuVernay. I think everybody should watch that. And I'm just leave it at that. I think everybody should watch that. And then another a film that I think everybody should watch that I think it was on Netflix briefly, but then it's not. I'm Not Your Negro by the James Baldwin documentary. I think that's something that everyone should for sure watch. Yeah, I think those two films should be on the watch list for people.
Excellent.
Oh,
anything to add, Gaye?
No, nothing to add.
Perfect. Well, Jonathan, Gaye, this has been an absolute delight having this conversation with you. I honestly feel like I could continue this on all night. So thank you so much for carving out some time to talk with me. And I'm looking forward to the premiere on October 15th.
All right. Well, thank you for having us and giving us a way to plug what we're doing. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us, and then thank you to the Quad City Arts for the arts dollars for our program as well. And we would, I think I would like to say, I would like to come back to be on 7 with Kevin, because I think this is actually a pretty slick setup you got here. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that. I honestly that means quite a lot. So I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Gaye. You can learn more about Azubuike African American Council for the Arts through their social media. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all right here. They also have Urban Exposure also has a great Vimeo page where you can see some of their past films. Now, I would like to bring back Kaleigh Trammell. So Kaleigh, welcome back.
That was an incredible interview. What a delight to hear from both of them.
I could not agree more. I had such a great time. So Kaleigh, I wanted to bring you back, talk a little bit more about Arts Dollars as well as the other work that you do here at Quad City Arts. So let's start with, what is your actual title here at Quad City Arts?
My official title is Festival of Trees Administrator.
So obviously, with a title like that, it seems odd that you would be running our Arts Dollars program, but I am here to let people know that you actually asked to run that program. Why is that?
Honestly, I love granting money. It is just so much fun to be able to support organizations like Azubuike and the other organizations that are in the Quad Cities doing incredible work. But like connecting those funding partners, like what an honor to be able to be that middle person who gets to hear all of this passion and all of this excitement for what they're doing and what we're accomplishing together. Like as a cohort of arts organizations and organizations doing arts-centered projects is far beyond what we could ever do individually on our own. And so, yeah, it's just incredible. And also I already knew how to do it and the job was open. So I thought it was a good fit. So
that's so true. I also want to point out to anybody who is tuning in and watching this right now, that's not just how Kaleigh talks about Arts Dollars on StreamYard and how we're programming this. That's how Kaleigh talks about giving dollars all the time. It's clearly a passion. So I think it's a perfect fit. Can you tell us, obviously, like we've showed a list earlier about all the different Arts Dollars that were funded, and I believe you said 24, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was wondering if, obviously there's quite a few on this screen here. Can you just talk about a couple other ones and the projects that they accomplished with Arts Dollars this year?
Sure. We granted to 2 individual artists, 15 nonprofit projects, 6 education projects, and 1 capacity building project. And they really ranged. So we had some organizations, and granted, this is the year of COVID. So it was really special to see how all of these folks who received funding for Arts Dollars were able to pivot and able to kind of figure out, how do we make this work with these funds in this year in this way. And so there were some organizations that said, hey, like it's going to be best for us if we just kind of figure out how to do this and do it again next year, which it happens. It's 2020. But, we had summer concert series through, and we had productions that we helped fund. We bridged the gap between arts and science with the STEAM on Wheels program, which is just so cool. And the way that we're able to just fund these types of projects, like Gaye said, art is in everything. And so being able to fund the projects where we're able to see the way that art connects science and engineering and math, and be able to connect folks with music out in the open, whether being able to be exposed to types of music that maybe they've never been able to hear before, like that type of impact on the community is what kind of brings them all together. And that's what we look for whenever we are granting funds to these organizations and these artists doing this work.
Excellent. So when you say we, who makes these decisions?
Yeah, it's not me. As much as I would love to give funds to everyone who applies, but we have an excellent panel of community members who represent various sectors in the community, but they all have their hands in the arts in some way. They're art supporters, they're involved in the arts, they're artists themselves. So we're able to have a really cohesive group of folks who are able to read these applications, and they each read them and they score them based on a rubric. So each application gets the same sort of standardized rubric. And that's how they determine their funding. They read them all, they score them all, and then we meet together this coming year, probably via Zoom. We'll see how it goes. But we get together and we just talk about it. And we're able to say, okay, what's the impact that we're going to see from these projects? And that's how we make those types of decisions.
Excellent. When will organizations and artists be able to apply for Arts Dollars?
The application opens December 15th. and it closes on January 31st. So there's a little bit of time to kind of get your projects in order, figure out what might be a good fit. The rubric is on our website, and you can kind of see what other organizations have applied, the types of projects we funded, and then the application itself will be open on December 15th. And one of the best things about what I get to do as kind of the middle person, because it is a regranting program, is to be able to provide support. So for organizations who maybe feel like they don't have the time or are not sure how to fill out a grant application, maybe they don't have a grant writer, maybe this is the first time filling out an application, I am available to provide that type of support. And it is an honor to be able to kind of walk through that with folks. And what I like to do behind the scenes is all the administrative work. So I make sure everything's in, everything is the way that it's supposed to be. So everyone's kind of on a level playing field whenever they their applications go to the panel.
Excellent. Okay, Kaleigh, I know that you and a team of others have been working really hard on shifting Festival of Trees this year. So can you give us a little sneak peek about what's in store?
Yeah, I think we might have a photo from a recent planning meeting. Yeah, there we all are. Planning, as you can see, we are being COVID safe with our masks. Very excited about what's coming. And boy, this is not an accurate description of how it feels to try to plan an event this year. But yeah, it's been wild. And in addition to our staff team that is making this happen, we have a dedicated team of volunteers and stakeholders who are committed and honestly the heart and soul behind Festival of Trees and the ones that make the magic happen every year. And I'm constantly inspired by them. I had a meeting with them this afternoon, and their optimism and their willingness to pivot and their willingness to be open to what we're doing this year is just inspiring, and it warms my heart, and it truly is the most amazing feeling to be able to be part of this group of folks that's making this happen. So obviously we're not able to meet in person this year because of the safety issue that we have with gathering so many people in a space. And so we're keeping the spirit of Festival of Trees this year, and we're going to kick it off on November 21st with a holiday special that will be televised on KWQC at 10 a.m. and then a day of giving for that full day from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That is just going to push us into all of the other really cool stuff that we've got going on for Festival this year. So Festival of Trees is one of the biggest funders and the biggest fundraiser for Quad City Arts. And so it's really important to me that this spirit and that this funding continues to come back to fund our Visiting Artist Series and our Metro Arts program and our gallery space and our public art program and all of the things that we do in the community. So outside of being a cherished holiday tradition that is important to folks in the Quad Cities and has been for the past 35 years, this is the 35th year of festival. It's going to be really neat to see everybody come together November 21st, holiday special, day of giving. And then that week is just going to be festival amazingness at our Rock Island Gallery, online, and throughout the rest of the month, we'll have kind of some exciting stuff to do with festival. So as you can tell, I'm a little hyped up about it. So
I was going to say, I was like, definitely not excited at all.
There has been so much hard work put into making this happen this year. And the ideas that we had that we thought we were going to be able to do in February, and then again in April, and then again in June, and then again in August, we finally come to kind of to a space where we're like, okay, this is going to happen. And I know that our community is going to support us, and it's going to be really cool. Yeah,
that is, I couldn't have said it better. So honestly, Kaleigh, what you and the team have put together, I'm very excited to be a part of it and for it to be here. I'm super excited. So
it's coming up. It's pretty quick.
Yes, it is. So Kaleigh, before we move on to your 7 questions, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so. I am just pleased as punch to be able to be part of the Art Scholars program and part of the Festival of Trees team, and just what Quad City Arts is doing in our community is so widespread. And to be able to be part of that is just incredible. And what an honor. So anyway, stop me before I start crying. So it's okay.
All right. Kaleigh, are you ready for 7 with Kevin?
I am ready.
All right. What are you currently watching on Netflix, TV, or other streaming services?
Okay, I feel kind of bad about this after there were such good recommendations from Jonathan and Gabe. I'm watching New Girl on Netflix, and also Chef's Table. Highly recommend that documentary series on Netflix. It's beautiful, and there are some really cool stories that they tell with it. So
wonderful. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars. I don't know if you can see behind me, but there's a bunch of like Star Wars decor and vintage toys behind me.
Where's the best pizza in the Quad Cities?
Low Pies is my favorite pizza in the Quad Cities.
All right.
Mostly because the box is so big it barely fits in my car, and also it's delicious, but it's just like an enormous pizza. So
perfect. What is your favorite book?
The History of Love by Nicole Krauss. I've read it a number of times. I read it first when I was a senior in high school, and it was a book that sort of just transformed the way that I kind of think about how a person can write a book and how a story can be told. And so it continues to be my favorite book.
Excellent. Where is your go-to place for inspiration?
So I live near Longview Park in Rock Island, and there is a hill in Longview that you can stand on, and you can the trees sort of frame the river, and you can see across the river, and you can see the Putnam, and you can see just like a couple of buildings that are I know because I've driven way far across, and it's just incredible to me. I didn't grow up here, so to be able to look across the river and see the horizon and see just that beauty with the sky is always inspiring to me. I've got photo after photo on my phone from it. So
excellent. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I've always wanted to be a barista, like at a coffee shop. I think it would be really fun. And I am not good at making coffee, nor can I do any type of latte art, but I feel like it would be fun to learn.
Excellent. All right. Final question. If you could have a drink with any artist, living or dead, who would it be?
You know, Kevin, I hear you ask this question to people every time you do this, and I'm like, who would I choose for this? But we just recently watched like a behind the scenes documentary series about how they made The Mandalorian. And I think that Dave Filoni is one of the most interesting people that I have ever experienced watching like on television. And so I'd really like to just chat with him about how the Star Wars universe works in his mind. Because it's amazing to me the connections that are made through like the types of perspectives that he's got. So I think he'd just be a really interesting guy to talk to.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be a very fascinating conversation. Honestly, Kaleigh, I know every other week I ask that question a few times, and I think my answer in my own head changes every week. So I can understand how that's a difficult one. So there's lots of incredible people out there.
Absolutely.
So, all right, Kaleigh, thank you for joining me tonight. It was a pleasure talking with you. So.
Yeah, I always enjoy video chatting.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Kaleigh. All right. Well, to all of you that tuned in live, thank you so much. To all of you catching up on this later, thank you. Don't forget to support Azubuike African American Council for the Arts. You can see their website, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And also you can find out on their Facebook page how to contact them and get involved in their programs, as well as to be able to support those programs. If you are an artist or work for an organization planning an arts project, keep an eye on our website for the Arts Dollars applications to open in December. Better yet, join our mailing list on our website and have that information delivered to your inbox along with the newsletter that this series is named after. Come see us in person in our downtown Rock Island gallery or in our gallery at the Quad City International Airport. If you come to the downtown Rock Island location, be sure to say hello. Both galleries do require masks, and we are following social distancing protocols. As always, this is a team effort, so thank you to everyone at Quad City Arts. Jonathan mentioned that this was a well put together production. I really have to give credit to my team on that one, and Alex Salaveria, who is off screen right now, putting all this together. She really makes the magic happen. So thank you, Alex. Don't forget, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and visit our website to learn more. And as always, thank you so much for watching.